Sahara, welcome back to my channel. So today's my birthday, yay, I'm so excited about that. I'm officially 21 and it makes me so happy. And I almost forgot to do this video today, but I have to get it done today because it's a birthday tag thing. It's called the birthday cake book tag, or I don't know, I think it was called I don't know exactly how it was worded, but so birthday cake book tag, okay? There are only 7 questions, so it'll be easy. This might be something I do every year on my birthday, but change the answers, because I'll be reading new books every year, so I should have, like, new answers every year. Flower. I can't speak. Okay, number 1, flower. Started out really slow, but turned out really good. I went with the Shadowrun Chronicles Maeve. It's a new book. I believe it came out this year. It might have come out last year. I'm pretty sure it came out this year though. I actually know the author of that book. Sort of. We met on Wattpad and we bonded over the fact that we're both writers, and we both agreed to buy each other's books to kind of like give each other advice, I guess, to make each other better writers. And she's really nice. If you have Wattpad, you should follow her. Her name's Nancy Ann. The book started out kind of slow, and it was a bit confusing at times because there's several time jumps. But once you figure out when the time jump starts and when it ends, it gets easier to follow it. And it turned out really good and intriguing, and it was definitely different than a lot of books I've read, but not in a bad way. It was good, and I can't wait for the second book in the series because I want to know what happened after, because it kind of left off with a cliffhanger. And I love leaving cliffhangers, but I hate reading them. I'm pretty sure every writer/reader feels that way. It's like they like to make cliffhangers, but they don't like the cliffhangers to be upon them. And yeah, but I still haven't done the review for that yet. I'm planning on it this weekend. Hopefully I actually do it this time. We'll see. But hopefully it'll be up this weekend. And if you guys are interested to see what it's about, I'll give you a short description now. It's basically about Maeve, who ends up becoming a vampire, and she is under control from her vampire master, but at the same time, the Shadow King wants her. And this is like years after this great war had torn apart the realms, but another war is coming to them, and Maeve is right smack down in the middle of it. So yeah, but it turned out to be pretty good, and I recommend it. Number 2 is Butter, a really rich plot. Now I could go with several books for this. I don't exactly know what they mean by a rich plot. I'm just guessing they mean something that's like really good, you know, because I figure that's what it's about. And I went with Harry Potter. I know it's probably a generic answer, but I mean it's Harry Potter, and Harry Potter is awesome, and it's like one of the most popular books/movies in the world, and no matter what you say, you can't deny that, because even people who haven't read or watched it, or only like did one, like either read it or watched it, even if you've never read, watched it, no matter what, you at least know the name. Everyone knows the name and knows some sort of what it's about. Everyone in the world, unless you're like a baby or an old person with dementia or Alzheimer's, you know the name Harry Potter. Like seriously, you know Harry Potter, because like that's how popular it is. And it had made J.K. Rowling at one point richer than the Queen of England. Not many people can get that far from a book series. So yeah. Number 3 is Eggs, a book you thought would be really bad but turned out really good. I don't have one, and I don't even know why this would be a question, because like I don't know why you would read a book you think is going to be bad. It's one thing to read a book you are on the fence about, but read it for like a challenge or because someone you're close to really wants you to read it and you decide to give it a chance. But to read something that you really thought was going to be terrible, or something that you, even if it's not terrible, something that you just don't like because it's not, how do I explain that, like, okay, like there's books and movies I've read that aren't necessarily terrible, they're good, and they have like a good plot, good characters, good storyline, good writing, but it's not your cup of tea. You know it's not bad, but it's also not something you necessarily like. I don't know why, but point is, I don't know why you would read something you think is going to be really bad. I mean, I read a book that I thought was kind of iffy about, that I ended up DNFing shortly into it though. Moving on. So I don't know why you would read a book you think is going to be really bad. So I've never done that, and I never will. So yeah, number 4 is Sugar, a sweet book. Now, there could be several for that. I went with Warriors by Aaron Hunter. Warriors is a book about cats. There's like these 4 clans in the forest of cats, and they're all like warrior cats, obviously, hence the name. And it focuses on this one clan more than anything. I can't remember the clan's name now. I haven't read those books in a while, but I plan on rereading them soon and then reading the ones I haven't read yet. But the first arc at least follows Firestar. Well, he started out as Firepaw. Actually, no, technically he started out as Rusty, but that's a different story. He became Firepaw, and then he became Fireheart, which I love that name. But then he became clan leader and became Firestar, all in the span of 6 books. Then the second arc follows his 2 daughters, Squirrel Flight and Leafpool. Leafpool, I love. She's my favorite character in the second arc. My favorite character in the first arc is the person Firestar falls in love with, Sandstorm, who is Squirrel Flight's and Leafpool's mother. And I love her, and she's extremely amazing, and I love Leafpool. So yeah, Leafpool is just a sweetheart. Honestly, when I talk about cinnamon roll characters, I don't think I talk enough about her. Honestly, I really should talk about her more. Okay. But yeah, it's a really sweet book. You know, I mean, yeah, there's fighting because they're warriors and they fight. They're trained and stuff. But it just has a really sweet plot and storylines, and yeah. Number 5 is Icing, a book that is everything you look for in literature. So I could go with several in this as well. Obviously, I'm gonna go with one of my fantasy books because I mostly read fantasy, except for Aaron Hunter's series. So yeah. I went with Bewitched and Oz because it's a duology, which is the only duology I ever read. There's another duology on my wish list I want to try, but I do prefer series because there's more to the story. But I like duologies and trilogies too. I own like 3 trilogies. So yeah. But I think I mostly own series, to be honest. Besides that duology and the 3 trilogies. And 1 standalone. So yeah. But Bewitched and Oz, I mean, besides the fairy tale part, because yeah, I like fairy tales and I've read books. Actually, I think I have 2 standalones. Well, I went off topic. Lost my train of thought now. But even though I have read books retaining fairy tales, it's not my favorite thing. I think I have 3 books retaining fairy tale, 1 standalone, and 1 duology, 1 trilogy. The trilogy I'm currently rereading, I only read once, does fairy tales too, and this really gets all depth in fairy tales. Bewitched and Oz just does with Oz things, but the reason why I chose this one isn't necessarily because it contains fairy tales, because it contains magic and friendship and accepting oneself, being proud of who you are, a strong female lead, which is my favorite thing. It doesn't have my favorite trope, which is chosen one, because I don't really think Zira, even though it follows Zira, I don't really think she's the chosen one. And a good romance. I actually don't like romance, but I do like a good couple in, at least one good couple in my series, because I do like my characters to be happy, and I do really fall in love with the couples and the characters in the couples. But I can't do just plain romance. I can't do it. It's too boring. The romance has to be inside something like fantasy, or fantasy pretty much, because it's really all I read, besides Secrets and Warriors, and eventually Aaron Hunter's other series once I get to them. So, yeah. But it has magic, because I noticed that the one thing that most of my fantasy books have in common is that they really pertain to a lot of witches. I pretty much associate anyone with magic as a witch. I don't care. I think that might be a little bit unpopular, but I consider them witches if they're female, warlocks if they're male, and wizards if they carry a wand like Harry Potter. Bewitched in Oz has 3 witches, Ziri, Tabitha, and Vashti, and then 1 warlock, Brink. Effigy's trilogy, there's 4 chosen ones who all wield one element. They can control an element, which is magic, so I consider them witches. What else is there? Skinjacker trilogy doesn't do witches, but it does do ghosts. I need more books with vampires. Don't suggest Twilight or... I don't like Twilight. I hate Twilight. What else do I own? The trilogy I'm currently rereading, that has to do with fairy tales as well. What's it called? The Storymakers trilogy. I think I talked about it once, or I know I talked about the couple in it a couple times. I don't know. But, the main character on there has magic, so I consider her a witch. I can't think of my books right now. Hocus Pocus is an all-new trilogy, besides this, Hocus Pocus is an all-new sequel. I don't know why I say trilogy, okay. Poppy's crush, Isabella, has, magic, and so does Sanderson sisters, obviously, so they're all witches. I can't think of what my other books are. But yeah, I noticed one thing that a lot of my fantasy books have are witches, because that is my favorite thing. I'm awake and I'm big on witches. They're my favorite supernatural being. I do like other supernatural creatures. I like ghosts, and I like vampires and werewolves and skeletons. Don't ask me why. Lately I've just been really into skeletons. I came up with this new book idea that pertains to skeletons. Don't ask me why, but I like it, and I'm going to eventually make one of these days once I finish a few of my other books. But yeah, fun. So yeah. I've been really into skeletons lately. I'm gonna blame Scully. I don't know if you ever seen the Scary Godmother. It's an animated film. There's 2 of them, and I really like them. And there's a skeleton named Scully. Lately, I've been mentioning him a lot because I don't know why. I haven't seen those movies in a while, but at least a year, maybe longer. And I'm obsessed with Scully all of a sudden. I mean, he was always kind of my favorite character, but I don't know. And I've just been really into skeletons lately. I don't know why. And skulls. For my birthday, I bought myself a couple skulls. I also bought myself a picture of a brown bear, and when you move it, they're all brown bears, but they're like different images of brown bears. And my mom bought me for my birthday the same kind of thing, except with pretending to black bears. So, yeah. I should name them Lusa and Toklo for secrets. Yeah. I'm a little obsessed. This became a very long conversation about witches and skeletons, and I don't know how. But I also absolutely love vampires. They're one of my favorites too. And I'm a big fan of ghosts. And werewolves I like, I just don't like them as much as the others. So yeah, fun. Number 6 is Sprinkles, a series that always cheers me up. So pretty much any book I read could really cheer me up. But I'm gonna have to go with obviously the best book ever created, which is Seekers. I've mentioned this before, but the whole meaning about friendship and about sticking together and about finding out where you belong and who the heck you are, it's amazing. And it's to see these 4 bears who are complete opposites, not just in the fact that they're different types of bears, but in the fact that they are completely different have completely different personalities, and they all manage to come together and become a family, a dysfunctional, messed up family, but a family nonetheless. I kind of see them as like misfits who didn't really belong anywhere else, and who came together to form something truly beautiful. And the main thing about that series is the friendship with these 4 bears, and it's my favorite thing about it. You know, I love the friendship, and I love how they're willing to defend and protect one another and stick together through thick and thin. Even when they fight, they are still close, and it's amazing, and I love it. And and there are sad scenes. I mean, there's scenes when, all of them, at least once, if not more, have almost died. Let's be real. And then there's the fact that Jack actually did die. I'm still not okay with that, by the way. And when I reread that, which is going to be kind of soonish, I'm not ready to read that scene because I'm going to cry again. I can't read. I've been reading this series since I was in 4th sinking grade, and I haven't been able to go through it once without just bawling. Oh my gosh, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. Okay, I'm off the topic of Jack before I really start crying. Okay, moving on. But yeah, and but there are so many sweet scenes with them, with their friendship, and sometimes with the couples that they don't really focus on the couples that much. I mean, in the last like 7 books, mostly 6 books, they did show Kalik and Yakon's relationship a lot since he joined them on the journey, but it still was mostly about the friendship, and I love it. And yeah, moving on. But so yeah, it's so that's why I chose Seekers, because it's just cheers me up just thinking about it and thinking about Kalik, who I love. I love her so much. She's everything to me. But yeah, so that's definitely, honestly, a lot of these series have, even these, just not thinking about the sad scenes, they all have sweet scenes in them that will cheer me up. And I'm so glad I'm tagging scenes now, because you know, it'll be easier to find those scenes when I do get sad. Number 7, cherry on top. Favorite book you read this year so far? So this year I was mostly doing rereads. I'm going to start out next year probably doing rereads, but I am going to start reading some other books that's on my wish list. My sister's asked me to send her the books, a few books I want, and she'll buy them for me and send them to me. I'm going to tell her to give me the rest of the An Ember and the Ashes trilogy series. It's not a trilogy, there's 4 books. But because I already own the first, I'm going to have to see if she can give me the other 3. So yeah, fun. So yeah, but I decided to go with a reread, and I didn't go with Seekers since I just said Seekers. I did read it this year. I think I read it like the very beginning of this year. I think I read it this year. I usually try to read it at least once a year, if not more, because I'm obsessed. But I went with the Effigy trilogy. because I absolutely love it, and it's so good. It's about the 4 girls with the elements, and it follows Maya, and she has a love interest, Aiden, and then she has her friends and Victoria, who's just amazing. I love her. She's a sweetheart, and it's just such a good book and trilogy, and it deserves a lot more praise than it gets. And I recommend it to everyone. So please go read it and have fun. And I'll talk to you guys later. So please like and subscribe and comment your answers, or if you do this tag me in it, and I would love to see it. I tag everyone who wants to do it on their special day, and I'll talk to you guys later.